Hi, this is Allison. I'm hanging out in my space to craft, and I wanted to finish up this card that I had started on my cruise. I had a template because I cut out a scalloped circle, and I used that as a stencil on a piece of paper and did some ink blending. Well, I set it aside. I wasn't ready to make it a card yet because I knew I wanted to do some more ink blending on the card underneath the top piece. So here I got out the same colors that I used and started with my brushes and just ink blending randomly around this card. And this card is cut just 1/8 of an inch smaller than an A2 card. So that, because I wanted really lots of ink on the outside edges, I didn't want to trim that off. And I want a little tiny white frame to show around it. So this didn't take me very long. I had a few sentiments picked out that I thought I would try. So I'm just playing with my brushes, putting some ink on the edges. Not that much is going to show, so I don't have to go that far into the card. I'm just going to do each color and then go back around a second time with the colors. So this will look a little bit different than the real ombre effect that I did in the center, with a lighter center and then darker toward the outside edge. So I'm just doing it in sort of random splotches around, and then I'm going to blend them together a little better. So at this point I felt like I wanted a little more pink. So I'm just going to enhance that a little and blend into the pink. So there are, watch till the end because I make a couple of mistakes on this. I'm inking on this silicone mat, which is great because it's easy to clean up, but the problem is you can't always see where you have ink, and that sort of bites me as I continue on with this. So I'm just checking to see what it's going to look like. And one thing that I think I would have done differently, I think I would have or should have cut this card down a tiny bit more than I did so that I could have a little bit more of that outside color showing. So right now, I end up cutting it right at about 1/8 of an inch smaller than that card, which gives you only a 1/16 of an inch on either side. And I really should have made a bigger cut, I think. I mean, it looks fine. I just think it could have had a little more impact. So here I look at it and it's not quite, I think I trim a little bit more off it. And I was trying to do this so that the scallop circle was centered on the card. I didn't necessarily create it perfectly centered, so I'm trying to get it centered now. And I decided I'm going to do this best wishes. I like the look of the black and white on there. And I had looked at the happy birthday in black on white paper, but it doesn't stand out enough. It's not enough contrast. So the issue I have on this card is there's a little ink smudge. And so I have to decide, do I want to cover that ink smudge with the sentiment, which is what I end up doing. But in the meantime, I get another smudge on it. But I'll talk you through all that. There's always a way to recover when you mess something up. And you just, nobody knows that it wasn't intentional, whatever you did. So I'm going to do a top fold card. So I'm going to start assembling it now. So this goes, I'm going to put this one down flat. And I decide it's not quite lined up perfectly. So I'm going to try and make a little adjustment with my bone folder there. So you can see I left a tiny little white. I'm happy with that one, but this one I think I could have gone a little, so I just placed it down, flat down on the ink on my silicone mat so that I could put dimensional adhesive on it. And in the meantime, I get more ink on it. So I flip it over, ink smudge. Now what am I going to do? So that sentiment is going to have to go over the ink smudge. And then I have another small ink smudge on the side. So I always say I'm a real world crafter. I make a lot of mistakes, and I'm always trying to learn better techniques and trying to remind myself not to mess things up. Aha, now I wipe it. A little bit late for that. So I had to cut a new piece. There was a seam in that. All right, so this is pretty effective, just simple. And I'm just going to add some bling to the card. So I look through some enamel dots and things like that, and I find this sheet of gems. I don't have all the colors that I would have liked, but I have enough, and there's different sizes. So I've got one sort of big ink splotch that I need to cover up. So I'm going to start with that. And then that's going to have to define where my other gems go. So I'll do a lower left to upper right sort of diagonal feel. And then also it appears that there are a couple of tiny water drops on the inked portion, on the inked circle. So I end up adding a couple of jewels to that as well. There, I'm pointing out those two little spots. So I just need to find some tiny gems to cover that. I take a look at sequins and see if that's going to work, and I decide, no, I want to stick with the gems. So I'm just trying to pick out the colors that will work, because they won't all work. There's a nice yellow and two different pinks is what I'm kind of sticking to. But I didn't have really an orange. And I didn't have all the colors in all the sizes, but I make it work. So I think we're about finished. and I'll give you a close-up. So just a quick card finishing this up. Thanks a lot.